Welcome to the LivOverjoyed Show. I'm your host, Amy DeLeon, and this show is designed to help you navigate life and business to take positive action to live your dreams. This series focuses on how to leave your unsatisfying job to pursue your passions. Today, we have Tia Graham, an inspirationalist and the founder of Arrive at Happy, the first ever Los Angeles-based company with a mission of inspiring transformation through the science of happiness. Tia partners with organizations and individuals to increase their daily happiness and, in turn, increase success in all areas of their lives. She has a certificate in happiness studies and a certificate in teaching happiness from Harvard's Tal Ben-Shahar and the Happiness Studies Academy. Tia is a certified Chief Happiness Officer from Woohoo Inc., Europe's premier happiness at work organization, and is a speaker and coach at the annual World Happiness Summit. Relying on science-backed empirical data, she has gained the insight needed to prove and teach that happiness indeed leads to success. So welcome, Tia.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Now, you're going to focus on talking about happy leadership. Did you want to start explaining what that entails?
Sure. This is something that I'm very, very passionate about, as I have a background in leading teams, and with my current work, I work individually and go into organizations and work with teams. And for me, happy leadership is really how you show up with and for your team. So whether you are leading a team virtually or you're leading a team in person in an office environment, whether it's a nonprofit, a school district, a corporation, even student leadership, where you have other people that you are inspiring. It is about the energy that you bring. It's about how you make other people feel. And what I teach leaders is how you can, yes, show up yourself, but then also lift up the people that you are leading so that they can truly be their best self and do their best work.
That's awesome. Now, in some instances, when you're in kind of an unsatisfying position at work and you try to kind of manage up or elevate the team, but you're not in that leadership position, what do you suggest for people in that situation?
Such a great question. And I think most people who have been working for a few years and in different organizations have had that experience. I know I have at least a couple times. Is one, accept the things that you cannot change, right? So if you have someone above that maybe doesn't have that happy, positive, optimistic energy that maybe you wish he or she did have, is to know that, for one, you're not going to be able to change that person, right? And to look at your realm of influence. And so the first is yourself, right? So all of us can choose how we show up to the organization and can decide the energy and the relationships that we want to give.
Yeah.
And to look at where can we have progress, where can we have little wins. So we might not be able to change the entire culture of the team and the organization, but we can have an impact. And a lot of people don't realize that they can make suggestions and then they can make change. That, it's easy to fall into a place of maybe helplessness and feeling like, all right, this is the way it is. Maybe it's always going to be this way. And that's not actually the case. That we can positively impact the people around us, our environment, and in little ways absolutely make a difference.
It's a good attitude and good way to look at it. And that kind of leads into the whole positive psychology that you've got so much knowledge on. Could you share a little bit more about the positive psychology?
Sure. So I accidentally discovered positive psychology around 4 years ago. I was researching for myself what makes people happy. Really, I was like, what makes people happy in Google? And Google came up back with the science of happiness. And I was like, wait, there's a science of happiness? What? How have I not heard about this before? And the science of happiness is another term for positive psychology. And what it really is psychologists studying either really happy people or people when they are in pleasant states. So states of, there are 10 emotions that positive psychologists that fall under sort of these pleasant, positive emotions. So emotions like joy, serenity, calm, love, amusement, right? Which is when, things that make us laugh, and you name it. So for a very, very long time, the American Psychology Association studied and focused, and there's thousands of papers on people that are really unhappy, people with schizophrenia, depression, bipolar disorder. And of course, there's been incredible forward progress in all of these areas, and it's really, really incredible research. But what Martin Seligman in 1999 said, I think there's something wrong, is that we are continuously focusing on people that are really, really unhappy. Why don't we focus on people that are really happy, learn from them, study them, and then share that information with the rest of the world? So that was sort of the birth of positive psychology a couple decades ago, and it has created this happiness revolution, this happiness movement. There are summits all over the world. There are positive psychology schools, etc. And why I am obsessed with it and why I love teaching it is that it not only studies the bright sides of life, like love and joy and all of these things, but it also studies the more challenging sides of life, like stress and sadness and anxiety, So it's a psychology based on reality. And so I think that's why personally I connect to it, and why I'm so passionate about teaching it to people.
Yeah, I mean, they say that you can't have light without the darkness. So it's like the yin and the yang. So it's just finding that balance, I suppose.
Yeah, and also having a toolbox, right? Having resources, having strategies, so that when, God forbid, something really horrible, something really difficult is happening in your life, like you lose your job, or you lose a loved one, or you're going through divorce, or parenting. I have kids. Parenting is very challenging. All of these things that you have, you're not starting from an empty place, right? You're like, okay, I'm stressed, or I'm angry right now. Okay, what are some things that I can do that's not going to instantly make it go away, but it's going to help me. It's going to help me through the process.
And what are some of those things that you can do to move towards happiness? You're in a rough patch.
Such a great question. So there are lots of things. We could probably talk for 4 weeks, but I know we don't have much time. But let me give you some of my favorites, some that I personally have found to be really, really helpful in my life, and ones that I teach. So one is reframing stress. So I probably have over 100 different topics. I'll just share a couple. Yeah. So one is reframing stress. So all of us, unless maybe we're a monk living in Tibet meditating 6 hours a day, the majority of us have stress, professional stress, personal stress, and now with everything going on in the world, it's an emotion that is challenging to a lot of us. And also it's an emotion that, if it goes unchecked, can have really, really bad consequences, both for our physical body. We know all the things that stress can do. So one very powerful thing is to reframe stress. So we know all the ways that stress is negative for us. We don't, and I didn't do this before I learned about it, is stress can actually be really, really helpful to us. And it is there for a reason. And in the short term, it can make our immune system stronger. It can help with our decision making. It can help us be more productive, and so on. And what I teach people, and what I learned myself, is that to reframe it so that you don't think of stress as this enemy, like, oh, I shouldn't be stressed. It's so bad. I'm so stressed. I shouldn't have stress. Is that stress isn't the enemy. The enemy, or the challenge, is our lack of recovery, right? So if you or anyone listening has a really stressful morning, and you're feeling maybe your heart beating faster, you're feeling your blood circulation, a dry throat, your mind is circulating with all of these thoughts, you're feeling stressed, is we need to be self-aware to know that, okay, I need to recover from stress right now. So I need to take 15 minutes to go for a walk outside, to go get a cup of tea, to listen to music, to stretch, to meditate, right? To go find someone who can make me laugh, either a family member or, call a friend. And when it's Friday afternoon and we just feel depleted, we've had a really stressful week, that we need to recover, that we need to make sure we get 8 hours of sleep. We need to make sure that we spend time in Mother Nature, that we're eating really nutritious food, that we're connecting with humans, that we are reading, watching funny movies, right? We need to recover from stress, because what I've learned and what I, teach people is that we can all handle stress. We just need to get better at recovering, right? And staying up watching Netflix till 11 p.m. is not a form of recovery. Drinking tons of tequila, and I'm not saying I don't have anything about it. I love a glass of wine, I love a glass of champagne, but that's actually escaping, right?
Right.
Which sometimes we need, and it's all about
Sure.
balance. But we need to recover. So that's one, is reframe stress. It's not a negative. It actually can be very supportive and can help you move forward in your life. But to remember to recover from stress in micro ways and sort of those medium ways. Another area is always understanding that everything you do with your mind affects your physical body, and everything you do with your physical body affects your mind. There is no separation. So I will say to people, you have a really sore back. Who do you go see? And people are like, well, I go see my doctor. Okay, yes, that's what we do in the Western world. Okay, you're feeling really, really anxious. You might be feeling depressed. Who do you go see? And they'll say, well, I probably will go talk to my therapist. And I say, exactly. That's this Western dualistic mindset. When we're having things going on with our mind, we go do these things. When we're having things with our physical body, we'll go to like the chiropractor, or, and understanding that if you're having pain in your back, if you're having pain anywhere in your body, that yes, of course, look at what you're doing physically, but you absolutely need to look at what's happening in your mind as well. And there is a book called Healing Back Pain, where a doctor has treated all these thousands of patients that are going to go have surgery because they have this incredible back pain. And he actually works with them with journaling and therapy and meditation, and he heals their back through their mind. And so we have thousands of choices every single day on how we take care of our body, right? Sleep, nutrition, movement, meditation, all of these ways. And we also make decisions every single day on how we want to take care of our mind. So you can choose to consume 3 hours of news a day. And what does that do to the health of your mind, right? Or can you choose to read a book, spend time with your loved ones, go outside in Mother Nature, maybe watch something funny? All of these things affect our mind. And so those are two. Like I said, I could talk to you for
The two
so
big
long, but
ones.
yeah, but
That's
those
huge.
are two big ones. Those are two really big ones that never ever think that they're separate. They're always talking to each other,
Mm-hmm.
And I also will say to people, if you're going through pain and challenge in your life, and right now as humanity, we're going through so much, is if you don't talk about what you're going through, if you don't journal with what you're going through, if you don't release and work through what you're going through, it's going to manifest. It's going to come out in your body, or you might snap at your family member. It's going to come out, so accept it and have it come out in healthy ways.
I think that's a really important tip, is to be self-aware and know that you can redirect that, or, like you said, respond to your stress. And
and it's not always easy, right? It takes work, it takes continuous practice, but yeah, you can continuously get better at it.
yeah, I think our default is just kind of hold on to it and carry it, like feel like it's this like burden we have to carry, but it's not.
Right.
So.
Yes, Absolutely.
Yeah, and your mention too of back pain. I've heard that a lot of back pain is emotional.
Yes.
So yeah, that spoke to me too with your mind connected to the body part as well, because I've
Yeah.
experienced some of that,
No,
especially when
I
I was
drive
in a
my
stressful situation.
I drive my husband nuts. He'll be like, "Oh, my neck, like I slept wrong," and I'm like, "What's going on in your head?" And he's like, "I just, or anything with the body." I'm like, "What's going on in the mind?"
It's true. I love it. So, what are some characteristics of a happy leader?
Oh, great question. Some characteristics of a happy leader is someone who is open and authentic. So not having, some people have personas, right? They're sort of not at work and then they come into work and they're, so really being open and authentic and being real. Someone who focuses on what's working, focuses on possibilities, not necessarily ignores the challenges, right? But puts attention and celebrates the things that are going well. And one of the positive psychologists that I really admire, his name is Sean Achor. He's a Harvard positive psychologist, and an example of this is a concept that he calls falling up. So a happy positive leader is when a challenge, when an obstacle happens, is to absolutely look at it, accept it, get the team together. But instead of having the mindset and communication of like, oh, doom and gloom, this means we're going to lose all the customers, this means, the project's, not going to work, is to actually look at it as an opportunity to improve and to, I want to use the word dissect, like, to look at it from a non-judgmental, non-blaming observation point of view and say, okay, this happened. We've fallen down, but how can we get stronger because of it? Happy leaders bring people together and create cultures that would foster, friendships and support. A happy environment that happy leaders create is one where there's a lot of engagement. It's an openness for creativity. Google did research on the highest functioning teams, and happy leaders create a space of psychological safety. So people feel that they can be their true self, share all of their ideas, and not worry that they're going to be get in trouble for anything, or they're able to make mistakes, right? That's also part of psychological safety. I believe a happy leader recognizes, acknowledges, and celebrates that work is just one part of life, right? There are a lot of parts of life: our health, our family, our friends, leisure time, fun, your hobbies, right? So not expecting people to be working all the time and be available all the time. The happiest countries in the world have a very clear separation of work and then sort of their leisure and family and friend time. So those are some that come to mind. Oh, and a happy leader sees more in their team members and maybe the team members see in themselves, right? They see
Kind of that potential.
the potential, exactly, and saying
opportunity
like
for growth.
yeah, they're pushing them and they're saying, you have this incredible future, like you're here, but I see you going to big places, motivating them.
I'm curious, what are like the top 3 happiest countries that you mentioned?
So the happiest countries in the world are the Scandinavian countries. So usually in the top 3 are Norway, Finland, and Denmark.
Interesting.
Yes. And there's a World Happiness Report that has been coming out since 2013. And anyone can go and download the report, but it talks a lot about why the Scandinavian countries, but really just there's lots of different reasons in why, but they definitely have that clear sort of work-life balance, and they spend a lot of time with their friends and family daily and weekly, which sometimes we're not always good at prioritizing that human connection.
Very interesting. Good to know. Work-life balance is important.
Yes.
So why would you say that so many people in this world, and especially in this country, are unhappy at work?
Oh, that's a good question. I believe that there's lots of different reasons. So one reason is that people are pushed into professions because of cultural expectations, family expectations. There's a gentleman that I know who is Indian, and he's like, I had to become a doctor or a lawyer. Like it was very clear. He wanted to be a musician and an actor, and that was not okay, right? And so he was really, really, really unhappy. He's now 50, and he's leaving being a doctor. So that's one. People do make choices because of what they should do, right? Not because of what they internally want to. Another reason is that people believe that financial success and, I'm going to say, title success is going to bring them happiness. When I am a regional vice president, I'm going to be really happy. When I own my 2-bedroom house with a swimming pool and I have a Range Rover, a lot of people in LA have Range Rovers, I'm going to be really happy. And those are not drivers of human happiness, right? Someone's title or the money that someone has in their bank account is not directly going, it's not going to necessarily make them happy. It can, if what they're doing brings them meaning and purpose. If they feel like they are contributing and they are helping society or the earth, or if they truly feel that is something that they're aligned with and that brings them meaning and purpose. For a lot of people, it doesn't, and so also in our early, let's say, teenage years, early 20 years, we're learning a lot. We're going to high school, we're getting this education on, lots of different subjects, but we're not necessarily spending a tremendous amount of time on self-discovery, on really understanding who we are as a human being and what we want to do with our lives. And I think that's changing with millennials and, the different generations. But it's a pretty crucial time to really connect with who you are and what you want to do. And sometimes it's rushed. There's an 18-year-old and people are like, what do you want to study? What do you want to be? And they're like, business. As an 18-year-old, it's kind of hard. So that
was me because I really wanted to go to art school, and my mom was like, what? So business it was.
Yeah, and that's sort of why a lot of people have that midlife crisis, right? They're kind of like, what am I doing with my life? Who am I? I'm unhappy. So, and this is why I love positive psychology too. We're not taught what makes us happy, right? So I'm really passionate. I'm like, every school, so like in India, there's happiness classes that are happening in New Delhi. Every single student takes a happiness class. It's, the US and North America and Europe and the entire world should have happiness classes, because now with positive psychology, we know what makes us happier. We know having gratitude makes us happier. We know learning and growing makes us happier. We know connected relationships. We know that compassion and helping others brings us happiness, right? So I think the education system needs to evolve so that we teach young people, these are proven things that make you happy. You shouldn't have to get to Harvard to learn.
Well, and even in the corporate environment, you've shown that it's proven to make people more productive and more successful in their positions too.
Yes, absolutely. There's Harvard and Yale, and there's so many studies that show that when you are happier, you're more productive, you're more engaged, you're more creative, you're going to make more money, you're going to get a promotion, there's so many positive results. If you're in sales, you're going to sell more. So there absolutely is a business ROI, and there are some companies and industries that really get it and are doing a great job, and there are other industries and companies that still have a long way to go where unfortunately the majority of people working in those companies are pretty miserable.
Yeah. What are some tools that you suggest for that self-discovery?
Oh, so there are a lot of incredible books out there. That are, the one that I love is The Crossroads of Should and Must. It's
Mm,
a wonderful self-discovery book about what must I do, right? I'm going to stop to having the world tell me what I should do. What must I do that's aligned to me? If you have the ability, having a partner, having a life coach or some type of helping partner. It could be in your religious community. It could be a friend, a family member, someone that's really going to support you, because
probably
in
accountability too.
accountability, exactly. But we know ourselves the best. And if we give ourselves the time and the focus and the energy to discover ourselves, no one knows ourselves better than us, right? But if you can have someone to talk to and help you through that process, and the accountability piece, exactly, it's going to help. Journaling is an incredible tool, and there are a lot of, if you just ask for self-discovery journaling prompts. I'm a huge fan of online courses and seminars and workshops, and there are a lot of people doing an incredible work in this area, in all different types of areas, where you can learn from people who are experts in terms of self-discovery. So learning from others as well, and just committing time and space to it. Right? Everyone is so busy, but whether you commit an hour a week to, I'm going to spend some time with myself and just get to learn more about myself, and know that it truly is a lifelong journey. You're never going to get there and be like, okay, I know exactly who I am, because guess what? Life is going to throw different events and challenges and curveballs, and you're going to change and grow. So I would say to everyone, have it be this lifelong commitment.
And that's kind of how you got into it too. You would come home from work, and I think you sat in your car and you would read some books or take some of the courses in the car,
Yeah.
disciplined, before you would step into the house, because you knew that once you got into the house, especially with a family, you're
Yeah.
going to be distracted.
Yeah.
So
Yes, I was literally studying from the front seat of my car with a laptop phone, yeah, and just learning. And that's how my kids didn't know I was doing that. They
that was
just
like
thought,
your little sacred space that
yeah,
you
they thought
devoted to your work.
yes, yes. And yeah, of course, with family and all of the different commitments, we need to make space. But it really is important. And that, just that process of learning will be a huge contributor to elevating your happiness.
That's awesome. Now, this series, we talk a little bit, like, say you're at the dead end job and you've got, terrible leadership and you just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
What are some steps that you can take to get out and start pursuing your passions?
So the first is to know, I would say, accept it's going to take a little time, right? You're not, if you're unhappy in the job, and we've all been there, that even though we want to run and all of a sudden it's be in this fixed place, it's going to take a little time. So give yourself that understanding, right? So that you don't continually feel frustrated, that know that, okay, I'm here now. I want to be somewhere else. But I'm thankful that I have a job. I'm thankful that I have a paycheck, and that, so kind of coming from that place of gratitude and acceptance as a starting point. And I advise people, it's funny, I'm actually working with one of my clients on this right now, but she's trying to think about what next and where she wants to go, is to get into that creative brainstorm space and think about, okay, what are the different opportunities? What are the different paths? What are the different pillars of possibilities that I'm interested in? So start off with that, and maybe there's 3 or 4 different, potential paths you could go down, and then start a learning sort of education process of, okay, I could do this, or this. I don't want to make the wrong decision, right? I want to make sure it's right if I'm going to commit to this. So let me learn and explore about what this could be. Let me talk to some people who are doing it. Let me read some different job descriptions. Let me listen to some different talks, so that I can get a clear understanding of these different paths. And it might be that this path that you're on and the one you want to go to, it's not an easy jump, maybe because of your experience and your title. You actually need to have some professional development. So you might need to take some classes. You might need to have a mentor, so then figure out, all right, I want to get from here to here. What are some things that I can do so that I can grow, so that when it is time for me to interview for that next position, or that in my case, I took a few years of preparing myself to launch my own company, sort of building it on the side. What do I need to do so that I feel financially prepared and professionally prepared to make that jump, whether it be to another company, industry, job, etc., and enjoy the process. Not everyone around the world has the opportunity to say, oh, I'm not happy, I want to make a change. There's some people that are literally stuck. They don't even have the opportunity. So be grateful that we live in a society where we can make changes and we can flex and grow.
That's awesome. Any other thoughts you want to share?
I would say with everything that's going on now, to recognize and acknowledge that we all have a choice of what we consume and what we bring in every single day, right, into our mind. And there's a lot happening in the world with the news and on social media and just everything going on, that we need to be very, what did I say to my husband? That we need to sort of be gatekeepers, right, of our mind, and protect our energy and our space, so that we can show up well to our families, to our friends, to our communities, and of course, if you're in a leadership position, to everyone that you're leading, because it's very easy to slip into sort of a negative, pessimistic, and there is a lot of hope. There is a lot of light. There is a lot of wonderful things that are happening. So choose where you want to focus.
That's really good advice, because it's easy to just drop into that rabbit hole of despair.
It's addictive and it can suck you in. Absolutely.
But are you offering any gifts to the participants?
Yes, I am offering a 30-minute coaching with myself. So anyone that's interested can do a 30-minute call and get a jumpstart on increasing their happiness.
I love it. Thank you.
Of course.
Well, thanks for being here. Lots of good nuggets to absorb and to incorporate into our lives. So I really appreciate you sharing all of that. And I know you have a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of other suggestions to share. So,
well, thank you so much for having me. I love the work that you're doing, and I'm really honored to be a part of Live Overjoyed.
Well, thank you.